Most of you know what a sociopath is. Maybe you've known some sociopaths. A sociopath is somebody who has an inability, for whatever reason, an inability to see the world from another person's perspective. An inability to enter into the feelings of another person. They don't have any ability to empathize. In fact, to a real sociopath, the only person is them. Other people and every other thing is simply a prop. And they learn how to manipulate the props and manipulate the world to meet their own needs. A true sociopath is like a narcissist on steroids. The universe centers around them. Other people aren't really even other people. The first sociopath I ever really got to know was a young lady in a home. When I was in seminary, I worked in a juvenile delinquent center, and this young lady, wonderful lady, could have been in a lot of ways, but she was terribly abused as a kid, and one of the fallouts of that was that she was a sociopath. She had no ability to really feel emotions for another person. What was amazing, though, is this, and this is true of most sociopaths. The only reality they know is behavior. People are just a package of behaviors to them. And so they learn how to study behavior and how to parrot emotions. And they become experts at that. And so this Carol that I knew was able to, she just knew exactly what to say and what to do to make it look like she was actually feeling something for somebody if there was something in it for her. I saw her sometimes interact with other girls in this house that I was at, where they stayed, and when there was something she wanted from another girl, she could get in the box with her. She could, sometimes her eyes would tear up. She would look like she was so concerned and felt the other person's pain and all of that. But the minute she got what she wanted, boom, all done. In fact, in a few cases, she would mock the girl who actually was deluded into thinking that she really cared, and she'd laugh at her. It was a streak of cruelty that was incredible. But that is the nature of a sociopath. They know behavior, they study behavior, and they can parrot emotions very, very good. Religion is a little bit like that. In fact, I think it's a lot like that. Follow this analogy. Let's suppose there's a guy who's a sociopath. Let's call him Bill. My apologies to all the Bills listening right now. His name is Bill. And let's suppose that for some reason, somehow, a guy came to him and said, Bill, here's the deal. If you can convince a woman that you are a perfect husband for 5 years, you'll get $10 million. But if you don't convince her after 5 years, then you're going to be thrown into prison the rest of your life. Now, since the sociopath is a narcissist on steroids, Bill's going to be very motivated to convince a woman that he's a perfect husband for 5 years. So what Bill will do, and this is what sociopaths are good at, he'll study behavior. He'll study what do guys do who are good at getting women to marry them. And he'll study the behavior. He'll know what to say. He'll know what to do. And then he'll study what good husbands do with their wives. He'll read books. He'll watch movies, whatever it takes to learn the behavior of a good husband. And so he'll go out and successfully get a woman, and then he'll start being married to her. And he'll say all the right things. He'll do all the right things. He knows exactly when to lower his voice and sound concerned. And you put your hand on her shoulder to let her know that you really understand. And when she's sick, you bring her breakfast in bed. And he knows exactly what to say and exactly what to do to come across as a perfect husband. He's got it all down perfect. But because he's a sociopath, there's nothing genuine about it. There's no genuine love there for this other person. The thing about Bill, since he's a sociopath, he doesn't know that this isn't genuine. He's never felt the real thing. To him, love means acting a certain way. Compassion means acting a certain way. That's all he knows. Since he's an expert on behavior, studies behavior, he becomes a trained judge of other husbands' behavior. He notices when other people aren't doing exactly the right thing. He's the expert. He maybe gets angry when other husbands don't exactly say it right and do it right. He becomes an expert judge. If he was politically inclined, he might even try to pass laws in Congress about husbands being good husbands, and they need to say the right thing. We need a law. He'd lobby Congress to try to pass a law that husbands need to, when they're showing compassion, put their hand on their wife's shoulder and look concerned and lower their voice. And when their wives are sick, you got to bring them breakfast in bed, and you got to greet them warmly in the morning. We need laws about this. But see, to healthy people looking in on this, they'll say, that's profoundly sick. Because obeying laws doesn't make you a good husband, and if you are a good husband, you don't need the laws. It's sick. But to Bill, since the only reality he knows is behavior, it makes perfect sense. And so we need to control behavior. That's Bill's world. Now, the question is this: would Bill's wife be convinced after 5 years that he was a good, even a perfect husband? Maybe at first. I mean, it'd be really nice to have a guy who says all the right things, always picks up his dirty clothes, never any dirty underwear hanging around, always considerate, always kind. But I submit to you that after a while, she'd begin to pick up on something. Something's wrong here. Something's missing here. It's too scripted. It's too perfect. It's too predictable. There's not enough spontaneity or playfulness or human fallibility. There's a sense of life and a sense of genuine love that's missing here. His eyes don't really communicate love, and even though he parrots voice intonation so well with his voice, there's something missing there. She began to sense that. And I submit to you that even though she wouldn't know about the $10 million reward or the threat of prison, after some time, Bill's wife, if she's healthy, would begin to suspect that Bill's relationship with her isn't a real relationship. It's really all about him. He lives in the question, how am I doing? How am I performing? It really is all about him. On the outside, Bill would look great, but in reality, he's profoundly sick. And his wife would begin to pick up on that if she is at all healthy. In fact, Bill is, for all of his appearances, and actually because of his appearances, he's actually much farther from being a good husband than the guy next door who isn't particularly good at being a husband, but he does genuinely love his wife. His behavior and his words are simply a cloak for how far he is from actually being a good husband, because a good husband loves. And over time, I think Bill's wife would begin to want a husband like the guy next door. I'd rather have the husband who leaves his dirty underwear around once in a while and who sometimes isn't all that considerate and does it imperfectly, doesn't do things perfectly and flatulates in bed. I'd rather have the imperfect husband who genuinely loves me than this perfect scripted play actor that I have here. Religion is kind of like that. Religion, I submit to you, is a form of sociopathology toward God. And here's how it comes about. We are a fallen race of people, and in this fallen condition, all of us are to some degree sociopathological towards God. We have a sociopathology. We don't naturally experience on the inside love for God. We don't experience love coming from God. We don't naturally overflow with love towards other people. We're in a fallen state. But all people do have, as part of our being made in the image of God, an awareness of God on some level, a vague sense of transcendence, that God or the gods are out there. And we have a sense that we're not right with God. Everybody does. We're out of sync with whatever is transcendent. And that creates a sense of fear and a sense of dread. So what happens is somebody comes along and finds a way to get rid of the fear. Somehow, some way, they hit upon this idea that if I just believe certain things, and if I just engage in certain behaviors, well, then we'll get the gods to like us. The gods won't be mad at us anymore. If we just get the gods to like us, there's this $10 million prize we'll get, and we'll avoid being thrown into prison. Whatever the beliefs are or whatever the behaviors are depends on the religion. In fact, whatever the $10 million is depends on the religion. In some religions, the reward is a good afterlife. In other religions, the reward is a better reincarnation. In some religions, the more primitive religions, it's just getting a good crop this year. In others, it's just not getting zapped with another tidal wave or an earthquake. We've got to keep the gods happy. And so people come to the conclusion that if we just believe these things and do these things, we'll keep the gods happy, and they won't be punishing us, and they'll do whatever it takes, offering up their firstborn child if necessary. And a lot of religions have done that to placate the God's wrath and to try to get some favor on the part of the gods. And then religion is born. Now, since religionists are focused on the rightness of their beliefs and their behavior, they become expert judges at other people's beliefs and behavior. They get life from contrasting themselves with those who have wrong beliefs and wrong behaviors, because it reconfirms that they're special people before God or the gods. Some religionists would even go on campaigns about this, trying to pass laws to control other people's sinful behavior. It's always other people's sinful behavior they go at, not their own sinful behavior, because they're just very sure that their sins are minor and other people's sins are major. But in the name of the gods or their God, they go after this and try to control other people's behavior. And those who are healthy look at that from the outside and they go, that is sick.